Hey folks, Lee Purcell here with Reel Rollers, and I'm just going to show you something pretty simple on the Revolution, how to remove and reinstall the chains here under the side cover. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the chain side cover. If you don't know how to do this, we have a video you can check out. I'll show you how to do this pretty quickly and easily. We'll set this to the side. As far as tools that you're going to need, there's our doorbell, customer coming in, we'll keep going with it. As far as tools, needle nose pliers, as well as your reel to bed knife tool, and I'll show you why you need this as well. So first thing is we'll remove this outside chain. This is a number 40 chain, and we call this one actually our reel chain, and then we refer to this inside one as the drive chain because this one is always spinning. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to identify where the master link is. So as I look around this chain and I keep following it, I'm looking for the set that we call a link that's a little bit different looking, which is a master link, and there we found it. So one thing about a master link to note is on any chain you always want, if you can zoom in here, the closed side, which is this side, going forward, open side going backwards. So you can see on this particular mower, we had taken it apart before, it's actually put on backwards because this is going to be rotating counterclockwise. All these chains will all be going counterclockwise. Let's talk about how to remove it. With the needle nose pliers, you can grab this post and then the back end of the clip and squeeze it together. And when you do that, this clip will pop right off. Get it in there. There it goes. And I'm removing this clip. I'm going to set it here. Then I'm going to remove that outer casing. Now I want to have this master link when I take it off, not on the sprocket necessarily, so that I can slide them apart. Now when I slide it apart, I have a tensioner here, so I'm going to lift this tensioner up, take some of the pressure off of it, like so, and then slide the chain out. And you can see this chain came right off. And just for a reference how they go together, it slides right inside like that, and then I put my outside on. But for now, we've got that removed. For the next chain, we're going to do the same thing. This is a number 35 chain, all American standard that you can find at any hardware store, and we identified it right there. So I'm going to do the same thing. But instead, to make this a little easier on myself, I want to get it over here. A little trick of the trade. Take your reel to bed knife adjustment tool, and you can put it on this nut right here, and you can actually rotate everything until I get that master link in a gap. And I want to put it in a gap so that when I take the clip off, I can slide them apart. So now that I've identified the gap, I'm going to get my needle nose right underneath that corner of the clip, the open end, and then press against the nub like so. There it comes off. I'm going to take that outer clip off as well as the inner right there. So those are the two pieces, and this one's also under a tensioner, so I'm going to grab this tensioner to take some of the pressure off and simply slide the two chains apart, let go of my tensioner, and now this chain's off. Same thing applies to this back chain, which is what we call the drum chain. This drives your ground engagement, but we don't need to take this one off, and rarely do you have to take this one off, but it's the exact same process. To get the chain where you'd want it, you may want to roll the mower, and then it'll rotate it so it gets to the right spot. So that's how you take it off. Now, here's some tricks on putting it on, which I think is really cool. When you put the chains back on, because they have a tensioner, one of the things that we've learned is if you put where you want the chain onto the sprocket, it makes it much easier. So here's where we're going to connect. Last time we did it in the gap between the sprockets, but if you do it where the sprocket is, it actually can serve as a placeholder for you and make this much, much easier. So I'm going to put this under the tensioner, like so. I'm going to hold this with my hand, the tensioner up, and I'm going to stretch. I'm going to line the chain up. I'm going to take this clip out real quick. See, I'm removing this just to make this a little easier. And we're simply going to stretch this chain so that it lands just like that. You can see now tensioner's on, but I'm not having to hold it in the middle, and it makes it much, much easier. So going to grab this little clip for the chain. This is the master link. Slide it through. Once it's slid through, I just got to keep the pressure on, and it's going to stay in place. Next goes what I call like the figure 8 looking clip. That's going to slide on. And as we just talked about before, all these chains are going to rotate counterclockwise. So I want the closed end to go front. So I slide this right over like that, where the closed end is going forward. I'm going to use both my hands on this just to hold a little pressure. And my goal is to get the needle nose on this little nipple here, and then the far side of that clip, and squeeze. That chain's on. Same thing with the what we call reel chain. I'm going to try to set it up where I land somewhere over here. So first thing I'll do is get this set. Actually, I want to put it right about there. Get that set. Prepare to pull my tensioner up, which I've got right here. Pulled up. Go around this lower sprocket. And then I wanted to make sure I get it married right there. So the sprocket is actually holding it in place. As you can see, I took this out right here on the master. I'm going to slide that in. And I'm going to go from the outside in because it makes it easier, of course, than having to work behind the scenes. Then I'm just going to simply slide the master link through the two chains that are open, like so. And once I get those through, they're going to hold in place. I put the outside coat on. Then we got our clip, again, closed in, going forward, the direction it rotates, which is this way. You can see how the closed in there. Then I'm going to take my needle nose and use that nipple and squeeze. And there it's locked in. That's how you put chains onto the Revolution 26.